I wanted to make two additional observations about this seventh part. One is that the link between life and death is also emphasized by some of the symbolism of light and fire that's used in this last part. This is emphasized, for example, in the moment when Levin and Kitty's son is born, and his new life is described as a fresh flame or a burst of flame. Um, and then it's emphasized again with all of the imagery of candle lighting and candles going out, including the very upsetting um, moment when Anna is kind of surrounded by darkness and is terrified by a candle going out. And then that candle becomes symbolic of something much more important. It seems like the candle becomes a figure for life itself, and we see that in the very moments of her suicide. And that's what I mostly wanted to talk about here. I find Anna's suicide deeply upsetting. The chapters leading up to it are very upsetting. She's isolated, she's alone. That isolation mostly manifests itself in her lashing out at other people, at Vronsky, um, at everyone else who she is convinced hates her, judges her, um, would judge her if they knew more about her. She finds everybody hideous. She looks even at strangers around her and decides that their their pleasure and happiness is an illusion. Um, I'm thinking of one moment at the beginning of chapter 30 where she sees some people with a dog, and she says, "And the dog you're taking with you won't help you either. You can't escape from yourselves." Um, just this sense that her unhappiness is spreading to take over the whole world. But I wanted to read just the very last part of her suicide, which I find upsetting. This is the last part of chapter 31. Just at the moment when the midpoint between the wheels came level with her, she threw away the little red bag, and drawing her head into her shoulders, she fell under the wagon onto her hands, and with a light movement, as if preparing to stand up again straight away, she dropped to her knees. And at that same instant she was horrified by what she was doing. Where am I? What am I doing? Why? She wanted to get to her feet, hurl herself out of the way, but something huge and inexorable hit her on the head and pulled her along by her back. Lord, forgive me for everything, she murmured, feeling the impossibility of struggling. The little peasant was working over the iron, muttering something. That's a reference to her earlier premonition. And the candle by which she had been reading that book full of anxiety, deceptions, grief, and evil flared up more brightly than at any other time, illuminated for her everything that had previously been in darkness, spluttered, grew dim, and went out forever. That moment when she throws herself under the train impulsively and then questions it and says, "What am I doing? I want to get up. I want to live." That's so upsetting.